What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology, the Titans action, spawning in the right side of the map in the blue color, playing as Zeus. His name is Kimo. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Hades. His name is Domantas. I do love this game. The map is Alfheim. Hades versus Zeus on Alfheim. I've had some good games here with Hades and Poseidon against Zeus on Alpha. I feel like Zeus is in this position where he's definitely struggling on this map for whatever reason. So we'll see if that's going to be the case here as Kimo's going to be piloting Zeus here. We have noticed that Kimo's had a lot of success with Hades recently, a lot of success with Ra, Isis, Set recently. Haven't seen him had a lot of success with the Norse gods. Haven't seen him really play the Norse gods very much. But he's also had success with Uranus, Kronos, and Gaia. So we'll see how he's going to go here with Zeus. I do think that Kimo's Zeus is kind of on the lower tier of his gods. And we'll see how he's going to be able, if he's going to be able to execute here in this game. He's found himself early hunt here. He's moving up. He's finding the deer over on this location, elk over on this location. So that's going to be fantastic. And we'll see. We'll see how it's all going to go. Domantas, on the other hand, if you guys don't know who Domantas is, let me regale you of the story of Domantas. Domantas is, I want to say, Italian, but he's probably not Italian. Somebody correct me in the chat of what country Domantas is from. But Domantas is from the clan Yuka. Yuka are, the long form is the Uncrappables. So Yuka has been around for a very long time, very successful RTSL clan. I am being told by Swoop Whoop that he is from Lithuania. He's the #1 Lithuanian player of Age of Mythology. So Domantas, fantastic. He is an amazing team game player. So given that knowledge, he brings that into his 1v1 plays just a little bit. But part of what makes Domantas so good is his hyper defensive play in team games, hyper strong teamwork play with his Hades. He's able to utilize the Sentinels very, very well, Restoration very, very well, and Underworld very, very well. He plays around the fact that Hades has got very low mobility in the early game very nicely. But that doesn't matter in 1v1s. So we'll see what he's going to be able to do here. He's already moving out onto this hunt, trying to gather from this location, get this all going. We see the Kitoskopos running straight through here as Kimo is sitting here shooting the scout, doing all the good things. And now Domantas moving over here, going to be on the deers. If you guys know Hut, on the deers, getting onto the deers is very important. As we do see the temple now getting built up here for Domantas. Feeling funky fresh and feeling great about that decision there. So we'll see how this is all going to go. The cows over here getting grabbed. That's nice here for Domantas as well. Wants to get as many cows as he possibly can. Look at that, 10 cows. If there is a situation where Hades is good against Zeus, this is it. If you get all the cows, you've got to feel great about yourself. Because look at Kimo's. 4 cows. Ouch. Ouch, town population Kimo. Domantas on 12, Kimo on 3. So what can Kimo realistically do here? I think that there is an option here for Kimo to just go 2 town centers and hit a Mythic Age timing. So you go Hermes. You've effectively, or we've actually got 5 cows here for Kimo. So I'm wrong. 5 cows for Kimo. So what I think is possibly the best play for Zeus players in this matchup against Poseidon and against Hades is to fake Centaur so you can build like 1 Centaur out. Don't get Sylvan Law. Don't get Odysseus. Build 1 Centaur. That's enough to fake your opponent into playing hyper defensively. I mean, Domantas is already doing it, so maybe you don't even need to build the Centaur here. Get your 2nd town Centaur and go 2 town Centaur fast Mythic. Off of this, you go in with Hoplite, Colossus, or Heliopolis straight away. And just ignore everything else. Heliopolis, Archer. Heliopolis, Toxotes, also a vibe here. So that could be an option here for the Zeus players. And I feel like the timing hits very, very hard against this hyper defensive play because you've spent a lot of resources on the walls. Your town center comes up when it comes up a little bit late. And you're going to be going for army here, kind of expecting to have to deal with some shenanigans coming through. Or maybe you don't go for army, but you are going to be in a rough position. We do see that Domantas is getting housed here. He's got his Chiron coming through and no house on the way just yet. So we'll see. There's the second town center for Kimo. And he is getting his Odysseus as well. So it's immediately second town center. No Sylvan Law here. So this is the other option. I mean, obviously, Kimo's saying that the walls are up and he's going to just say, no need for anything to come through. I don't think taking the villager off favor is the option here because you do want to think about getting Forge of Olympus later as well. So you can leave that villager on. There's no real net negative of getting the favor early because you're going to need it anyways. We'll see where Kimo is going to go in this game, but Domantas is effectively fully set up. 2 town centers. Feeling great about his decisions. Domantas might consider just going straight to the heroic age here as well. As we can see, he's got his gold over here. He's got his food over here. He's got his hunt just about finished up. We will be probably seeing husbandry come through fairly soon. Kimo casting Bolt onto that Chiron there, dropping the relic, which is just the head of Orpheus. We also, or head of Orpheus is a building line of sight. So I don't just say just the head of Orpheus. It's a good relic, but we've got the shingle seal of as well. I've asked this question before and I always forget. Does the head of Orpheus plus 8 building line of sight also affect walls? I think it does. And if it does affect walls, it's a very, very good relic. This relic should be grabbed most of the time. If not, it's still a decent relic. It's effectively giving you yourself signal fires plus 2, so a little bit more than 150 wood worth of relic there. As we do see the Minotaur now moving forward. I'm going to be checking out what he can do. So now seeing Kimo moving forward and looking to go for a 3rd town center. I mean, I guess he's making stables and archery ranges. I'm going to say something, and I've said it before in a specific video. I give you the video if you want to go watch it. I played a Zeus versus Poseidon in the Fundamentals series. And I said that my opponent was being really smart because he wasn't making units against me. This is that situation where I think that this here doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to be making units in this matchup. In this situation here. There's no food, there's no resources that are able to be attacked here for Kimo. He can't attack any resources. He doesn't need to defend any resources here. We see the Minotaur being a little bit of a pain, going to get sniped off, not a worry. But there's no real reason to make any units here in this matchup. Go straight to the Mythic Age. That is the hyper meta for Greek against, or Zeus, just Greek wars. Because you can't do anything otherwise. We see the Chiron coming through. That's not going to do anything. Look over here. We've got a Hippocon starting to come out. 1 stable here for Domantas. If you just, instead of investing in the wood to get these archery ranges, 100, 200 gold here could be the entire map walled up here for Kimo. And then those Hippocon would just do nothing. And there's just basically nothing you can do with unit. Oh. My screen went black. For you guys, you're going to be able to see it. But let me just plug it back in. I pulled the power out. That's funny. Anyways, onwards and upwards. That's funny. And we see the Chiron getting picked off. And what we'll notice here is that these units, I mean, this is a good idea for Kimo in a sense to kind of control this. But I don't see that controlling this town center does much because Domantas sitting 2 town centers is exactly what he wants to do. Domantas wants to go Mythic Age off of 2 town centers here. And Kimo's going full military now. I mean, okay, fair enough. Let's see this. And it does look like the buildings, we got the blanket of Emperor Zoe and the head of Orpheus. We get a lot of line of sight here from these walls as well. So we'll see what's going to happen. We've got Domantas checking out this town center here. Kimo might finally be making a decision not to go for town centers in this matchup, but he's going for army here instead of going to the Mythic Age, which in my opinion doesn't really work. So we'll see how it all goes. And now we see the Hippocon chopping down enemy Hippocon here. And here, what would be better is just walls everywhere. And then you're not going to really be under any pressure. Even if the Hippocon come in, what are they going to attack? Nothing. You could get watchtowers and crenellations and be fine. But yes, Kimo going full population now in units. And Domantas, he's starting to farm. He's going to be going up to the heroic age fairly soon. Still just 1 or 2 stables. He's getting himself medium cavalry. And we'll see what's going to happen here. I mean, let's say the walls get taken down here. This century tower gets taken down. What happens? Where can Kimo attack? This gold mine maybe? This wood line maybe? That's about it. Maybe these villages on this town center, but not really. He's just going to garrison and be fine. Now you see Domantas pushing forward, pulling back. And Domantas maybe going to be able to snipe down these Toxotes. Kimo not paying attention. As the Hippocon are on top of these Toxotes here. Nice play here from Domantas. He's going to take out a lot of these Toxotes and potentially just leave this location. He also gets the Hades Shades here. And the Restoration coming down for Domantas as he's going to hard win this fight. Kimo should not be taking this fight in the middle of the Restoration. He's going to lose out a lot of these units here. And that's going to be huge because that's going to keep Kimo in the Classical Age even longer. And now Kimo decides to retreat away here as Domantas, very, very big win here for him at this stage. And now we'll be seeing the Aphrodite coming through very shortly. There it is as it's starting to come up. Kimo, on the other hand, villagers popping out of his town centers very, very nicely here. I mean, so far behind on tech because he's now behind on production. If he didn't have the units, he wouldn't have fought. He would have been fine. Am I right? Am I right? Lesson learnt. Never build units and you'll never lose them. Lol. Now we see the Hippocon moving over to the other side here, going after some of these villages, doing all the good stuff. See the Hippocon retreating back for Domantas. And we'll see how this is all going to go. As now Kimo edging forward. He doesn't have to worry about restoration anymore, but Curse is going to hit very soon here. 90%, and that's why Domantas is taking this fight. You can just come in, cast Curse, be fine. We do see the Hippocon now going to be hitting this gold mine. Kimo has not set up the walls at all. There's the Curse over here. We'll see if Domantas is able to win this fight. I love this raid. Kimo's not going to pay attention to this at all. He's full focused on this position. And these villagers, he will start moving them, but not before losing 2. So nice raid there by Domantas. Very, very good. Kimo pulling back. These pigs now all going to move in to Domantas' base. Domantas can now go straight to the Mythic Age as these villagers can move over onto this safe gold mine over here. No market up just yet, though, for Domantas. Has he placed it somewhere? I don't see it anywhere. There it is going up. So market will come down. Artemis will be the god of choice. And Earthquake will hit like a truck. Plus the Chimeras coming in as Kimo is still going to be hard stuck in the Classical Age here. Still not going to the next stage. We do see some units getting sniped down here by Domantas yet again. The Jason will fall. Maybe even the Hippocon will fall as well here. As the Hippocon do decide to retreat. Not sure why he can easily take that fight there. Now the Nemean line still pushing back in. Domantas going Mythic Age. Maybe. I can't click on his name. He is not going Mythic Age just yet. Still pumping units out as he's preferring to keep Kimo in the back, on the back foot here. As the Nemean line returning back in, gets sniped down by the Odysseus. Nice play there. More Hades Shades coming through for Domantas. as Kimo holding strong here, but it is slightly looking like it's in favor of Domantas as this is continuing along. Kimo does have all of the building production facilities up right now. And I mean, we'll see how it's all going to work, but end of the day, the Hades player likes fighting because getting out Hades Shades is really, really good. Now we've got heavy Hippocon coming through for Domantas, and that's going to be a big, big advantage here in this game, as Domantas is going to be able to tank a lot more from those Toxotes. We see a little bit of micro here, sniping down some of those Hippocon. Nice micro from Kimo, pulling back that Hippocon there, but that's going to be about it. So now Toxotes falling, and surely Domantas is going to be getting those resources soon. He's actually cut villager production for some reason, or is at full 80 supply of villagers, and that looks like it is what he is at, but he needs to get more villagers on gold if he wants to get to the next age. He's moving over onto this gold mine here as well. And now Domantas is about to hit 130 of 130 population, throwing up the stable over here. I like that Domantas isn't going for the third, and he can now start thinking about selling that wood that he's got excess of, maybe, and going up to the next age. But just moving back and forth here. Kimo, he's got to be thinking about going heroic age fairly soon. He's short on gold as well. Maybe he's got shaft mine here. He does have shaft mine, so that's going to be a big help for him to get that 500 gold that he needs. Wow. Boo, Domantas. Go Mythic Age. He's just going to continuously take these fights because he's got the better units here. The heavy Hippocon are so key in this matchup. And there's medium Toxotes coming through as well for Domantas. So he's happily fighting this because he knows he's got the advantage. And Kimo is 105 pop of 145 here. Is going to be retreating back. And we see the Chiron pushing forward. Toxotes getting taken down. More Toxotes getting taken down. Very nicely here. Kimo getting pushed back. Town center up now for Domantas. And now how is he going to get next stage? He's got the food situation sorted. There's the Zom. Look at that Sentinel. That's a mile away from the town center. But he's just not going to have the gold income to get to 1,000 gold, even though he's got that food income here. I wouldn't mind... Oh, there's a fortress. I wouldn't mind seeing some barracks up here for Domantas. Hoplites in this position with all that excess food would be pretty good. We'll see how it's all going to go. Now Toxotes taking down the Jason. That's going to help out a lot more units piling in onto this position as Kimo is just... I don't know what Kimo's doing here. Kimo could he's had ceasefire forever, but Kimo could have very easily just gone right click, 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 get up to full population and then keep fighting. That's what you want. Kimo's got copper mail, copper shields, does not have copper, he has copper weapons as well, so full copper. Wait, he doesn't have copper. He's got spirited charge there, sorry. And Domantas has got himself copper shields, and that's it. But now Domantas is going to get given that time, and he's going Artemis. Big earthquake coming in on this position with the Chimera. It's going to be tough for Kimo to hold. Kimo's probably going to go through to the heroic age here. He is going through Dionysus here, and he'll be chasing the Mythic Age very soon after, you'd have to think. But he's not going to be Mythic Age for quite some time here, as Kimo is slowly edging forward. He still should not be taking these fights. We see copper weapons for Kimo has come through now. He's going to have that 13 damage Hippocon versus the 12 damage Hippocon of the heavy Hippocon, and that's basically equal Hippocon here. 165 HP plus the speed versus the beefier 187 HP, but with the one less damage, it kind of equals out. And there's Dionysus, as Domantas is 75% through to the next age. This fortress is on the way now for Domantas. If he gets this up, it's really bad for Kimo because this controls a lot of the map here. Love these walls, how Domantas is expanding out with these walls very, very nicely. There's a bronze coming through for Kimo, and Domantas is going to be backpedaling here just a little bit. He's got himself 47 favor with 0 villagers on the gold. We see a big amount of resources spent there for Domantas. He had quite a few in the bank, but he spent them very quickly. I'm not sure what on. Now the Chimera's coming forward. We'll see if the Earthquake wants to hit this location or not. We do have ourselves Blanket of Emperor Zoe plus Mason, so I'm not sure this town center would actually fall if he casts it over here. But now when you can send the Chimera in and use that splash attack on those Toxotes to get some real big damage done, but not seeing it just yet. Meanwhile, a couple of Hippocon over here going to be able to take out the enemy Hippocon and then go after these villages and everything else. We see these Hippocon taking down the Toxotes. The Chimera moving forward here for Domantas, as the units of Kimo do need to retreat away slightly here. Now, still not more Chimera coming out. No Heliopoli, idle villages in this location here. Kimo is going to have to be getting close to the Mythic Age. No, he's just stuck here, spamming units, not trading too efficiently. We do see the Toxotes going after the Chimera here. Oh, you're facing the wrong way. No. The Chimera is a great unit, but you do have to kind of treat it a little bit like... Ooh, nice Earthquake here. Will we see the town's going to go down? We do. You have to treat it a little bit like a Medusa in these situations. Attacking with the extra 20 damage is like okay, but you don't want to lose it. So just pull it back, splash damage, pull it back, splash damage every 20 seconds is huge. And now we see this wall back up. The Earthquake did hit, took down all of those storehouses and storage pits and everything else. And now we'll start seeing some units flood into this location, and Kimo's got nothing over here. So the Hippocon are going to do a ton of damage. Kimo's now 130 of 130 population. So Domantas can send in 30 population worth of units over here and hold on this location with the rest of his army, and he's going to be completely fine. So we'll see what's going to happen. We see some units getting pulled off of this location here. These Toxotes attacking a fortress for some reason here, as these villagers are going to be denying the town center from going up, as more villagers coming in here for Domantas, as he should be able to get a good control on this location here. Achilles coming through. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kimo able to go Mythic Age soon. No, he's not able to. He's starting to float some resources, but he's going to be some way away from that. Some units now coming through for Kimo, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. We see a archery range coming down here. I'd like to see some towers in on this location instead of the archery range, but the villagers now going to try and get the town center back up for Kimo, as Domantas is pulling back here. A whole bunch of units coming down for Domantas as he sees how important this location is. And that's going to be huge, as Kimo's also bringing his Toxotes over, but there's not really many buildings over here for Kimo. So the defender's advantage, even though this is on Kimo's side of the map, is technically in favor of Domantas, because he's got all these buildings here he can train from. Meanwhile, we can also see like some Heliopolis maybe potentially attacking this town center here as well, if Domantas wanted to do that, and that's what he's going for, making them out here very, very slowly, as they're at 99%. But now another Hydra's out, but with all of the heroes out, Achilles plus Chiron, this will get dealt with very, very easily. We see a fortress coming up here, a fortress coming up for Domantas as well. Ajax is also in here to take down the Hydra, as we're seeing more units pile in onto this location here. Toxotes pushing forward, gonna take down the enemy Toxotes. This fortress is almost up, and that's going to spell pretty big doom here for Kimo, because even if his is up, it means he's basically not got this town center up ever. Domantas is just happily taking these fights, up 30 population, maybe up 20 population now. Kimo is on fortified town centers, but still not really enough. You do see the Ajax getting sniped down, as now Domantas has to pull back for some reason. Not sure if he's training units still out of these buildings. He shouldn't be. Yeah, he is just out of one building here. He's cancelled them all, and he is coming through with all the rest of his units. Another Chimera in on this location, going after the villagers. Does snipe them down. There's a Heliopolis out for Domantas, and that's a very, very big unit to have in this situation here for Domantas. As Kimo is just like, he's not doing anything to help his position here. Obviously, he has to fight this, but he needs to be pushing forward in other locations, and Domantas is just controlling the map everywhere. Heliopolis now going after this town center nicely here. Here's some more villager deaths. Petropolis coming forward will get picked off very easily. You can just click on that with the Chimera to take that down. But again, I would have liked to see a transition into Hoplite here. I think Hoplite would have been perfect, a perfect transition against what Kimo's building here. See these Hypicon now coming over here as the wall still not up, but a Heliopolis here moving forward. The Mount is going to be retreating back here. He's trying to get these walls up. Go through the gate, get the walls up, not able to. Or Chimera in on this location. This Chimera will get taken down by the Odysseus. But somehow, some way, Domantas just doesn't have the population to move in here. It just towers. Doesn't have the economy either. How's his economic upgrades going? He's full economic upgrades. He just doesn't have the resources just yet. Now we see these Heliopolis getting chased down. And then maybe through the wall and go back over onto the town center. That'd be funny. Now we see Kimo going after this settlement yet again. But he's lost out on all these units here. As it's looking like Domantas has traded fairly efficiently. Kimo with not very much gold left in the bank. Not much food left in the bank either. And just has 455 wood here. This Heliopolis will say no to the town center for the time being. The Heliopolis has been sniped out though. I'm sure that Domantas has got more queued up here in this fortress, which is at 99%. Kimo has got Thracian horses. He does have Thracian horses. So these Hippocon are doing very, very nicely here. But that's why I said Domantas might want to consider going in with Hoplite. Seeing some raids now hitting Domantas, but he's not going to care. The Heliopolis can now start thinking about taking the fortress. Kimo hasn't made any effort to make any more military buildings over on this side, so slowly but surely going to get pushed in. We see another fortress coming up for Domantas just to solidify the position. As this fortress falling and Domantas making a push in onto this town center will spell the doom, the onset doom for Kimo here. As this game has kind of felt like maybe 10 minutes of Kimo just struggling to survive. Domantas takes down the stable, takes down everything else. Fortress just about to pop here. And he's going to then think about getting the town center. I would like to see towers here. I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Towers before settlement, always good, especially against Thracian horses. Hippocon, but we see a whole bunch of villagers getting pulled here for Domantas. Got a whole bunch. What's that? 13 villagers here. And now Kimo's got nothing left over on this location here. 115 of 140 population. Has got a cheeky raid going on, but Kimo in this moment does tap out. Too far behind. And this is, a lot of this just spelled down from that restoration fight that happened over here. But honestly, I do think that Kimo should have just gone with walls instead of the military buildings and rushed Mythic Age. And I feel like he would have been in a good position, but he didn't do it. And lesson learned. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow button on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.